From being the #1 seed to potentially being a play-in team. From Donovan Mitchell going crazy to the other Cavs stars not showing up. From a historic regular season in the 2025 year to struggling in 2026, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a story on their own. Many expected them to get to the Eastern Conference Finals at a minimum last year. This was a team that had spent the majority of last season with the best record in the NBA. A team that had clinched a playoff spot before St. Patrick's Day, yet they were bounced out in the second round. And now, they look even worse than last year. What the hell happened to the Cavs? In the 2024-2025 season, the Cavs had seen it all. They went into the playoffs as massive favorites after a dominant regular season. Under new head coach Kenny Atkinson, they began the season with an impressive 15-game winning streak, tying for the second best start in NBA history. They finished the regular season with a 64-18 record, securing the top seed in the Eastern Conference, one of the best regular seasons in the team's history. Every team in their path, they destroyed. Whether it was the Boston Celtics, OKC, West Coast teams, East Coast teams, it didn't matter. They were just one of 7 teams ever to start a season with 32 wins after 36 games. Of those 7 teams, 4 of them went on to win an NBA title, so Cavs fans were feeling very positive. The other thing that had benefited them is that the core had been healthy. In the 2024 season, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, and Garland missed a total of 89 games, while the following season the number was in the single digits. Of course, now in this new season, once again, they're dealing with injuries. What do you know? Having all your best dudes healthy helps winning. Now, what Atkinson did last year was he staggered the 4 of them, often pairing Mitchell with Mobley and Garland with Allen. No matter which pairing was on the court, the Cavs offense dominated. Garland spent much of the 2024 season recovering from a broken jaw, which definitely impacted his play. He lost 12 pounds and looked far less aggressive in his actions, which was to be expected as he probably feared getting injured again. This season it's been his foot, but even when he's been healthy, he hasn't looked great. Last year, he looked better and more sharp, at least in the regular season. The Cavs were playing much faster, generating more possessions, and getting shots up more quickly. They were towards the top of the charts when it came to pace of play, while the year before that, they were towards the bottom. Against the Bucks, they scored so quickly that even Giannis was stunned at how fast they could get a bucket. When the regular season was over, Cleveland had the top offense in the NBA, the second best shooting, and a top 10 defense. Mitchell, Garland, and Mobley were all-stars, and Mobley even went on to be the first player in franchise history to be named the Defensive Player of the Year. Atkinson won Coach of the Year, and they even had Ty Jerome being a runner-up for the NBA Sixth Man of the Year after enjoying what was easily his best season. So naturally, Cavs fans believed they could really go all the way in the playoffs. But there was some doubt, because as good as the Cavs were in the regular season, everyone knew that the postseason is where the real journey begins. Tons of teams in the past had been a great regular season team, but failed in the playoffs, and the Cavs were determined to not let that happen. First round was against the Miami Heat. Yes, they were missing Jimmy Butler, but the Cavs still knew they had to take care of business. They didn't rely on any last-minute heroics. They didn't need to. They were far better from the opening tip to the final buzzer. They defended, moved the ball, hit their shots, and played together. It was a very clean sweep. The second round series, though, did not go the way the Cavs fans hoped it would. In fact, nobody expected what happened. Game 1 was tough. Garland was out with a toe injury, and without their floor general, the Cavs were a bit lost. Donovan Mitchell tried to carry the load, scoring 33 points, but it wasn't enough. The Pacers played smarter, more team basketball, with Nembhard leading them with 23 points and Tyrese Halliburton controlling the game with a smooth double-double. Cleveland fell 121 to 112. The Pacers just had too many weapons, and Cleveland didn't have enough help around Mitchell, a common theme that we're seeing again this season. Then things got even worse in Game 2. Garland was still out, but now Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter were both missing too, because they got injured in the series opener. That left Mitchell on an island by himself. He nearly pulled off a miracle though. He exploded for 48 points, doing everything he could to give Cleveland the lead, but he was exhausted. With just over a minute to go, the Cavs were up by 7. Victory was in sight, but then they collapsed. The Pacers stormed back, and with just a few seconds left, Halliburton hit a cold-blooded 3 to win it 120 to 119. The Cavs were down 0-2 and suddenly in real trouble. Ty Jerome had struggled, and the Cavs were making mistakes on both ends of the court. Game 3 was a turning point, Cleveland finally had their core back, and the energy shifted. They looked like themselves again. They blitzed Indiana 126-104 on the road, grabbing their first win of the series in a dominant fashion. Donovan Mitchell stayed hot, dropping 43 points and grabbing 9 rebounds, but this time he had help. Mobley was everywhere with 18 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. He anchored the defense and helped shut down Indiana's drives. Garland, who was still not at 100%, chipped in with 10 points and 3 assists in 25 minutes. Even Hunter, who was coming off the bench, added solid energy with 8 points and 5 boards. But the next games followed the same script as the first two. The Pacers rained threes on the Cavs, and Atkinson's team just could not handle their offense. Everybody on the Pacers could shoot, and they were constantly moving around, so it was difficult to handle. Now, of course, injuries didn't help the Cavs at all. Garland had hurt his toe near the end of the season, re-injured it in Miami, and was just much slower than normal when he returned for games 3 to 5. As a result, he shot poorly. Evan Mobley had sprained his ankle in game 1, missed game 2, and played games 3 to 5 on a recovering sprained ankle. He was clearly missing a step. Mitchell played really well through the first 3 games, but even he apparently had a calf strain going into game 4, which he aggravated, and as a result, played much worse in games 4 and 5 while he was injured. DeAndre Hunter hurt his wrist in game 1. Ty Jerome looked great in the regular season, but he clearly wasn't ready for big minutes in the playoffs. He was too slow against Indiana, unable to get a shot off in time, and played poorly. Now, maybe a lot of people should have seen this coming. The Pacers had beaten the Cavs 3 times in the regular season. Maybe they're just perfectly made for the postseason. Atkinson agreed that his team never got to the level they wanted. Donovan Mitchell was in disbelief. For him, it felt like deja vu. He had experienced the same exact feeling back when he was on the Jazz. He had once again elevated his game in the postseason, but unfortunately for him, his teammates didn't follow. The Cavs, a prolific 3-point shooting team, shot just 26% from deep, while the Pacers bombed their way to 15 threes. As I stated, the injuries cannot be ignored, but Cleveland just didn't play well, and you're seeing this again in the new season. Yes, they've had injuries, but even when the full team was healthy, they haven't looked that great. Now, people thought that this young Cavs team would use the playoff disappointment as fuel for the new season, except they got worse. Their Christmas collapse against the Knicks showed their biggest problems, and how thin the margins really are at the top of the NBA. Because if you're a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, that Christmas loss hurt for a very specific reason. Not because it happened on national TV, not because it was against the Knicks, and not even because it erased a 17-point fourth quarter lead. It hurt because it exposed the same issues that keep popping up over and over again. And the biggest one this season is the rebounding. Cleveland fell 126-124 to New York in their first Christmas Day game since LeBron's final season with the team. And if you watch the ending, you already know how it went. Second chances, loose balls, extra possessions. All the little things that decide close games, well, the Knicks handled it, not the Cavs. That match wasn't about effort, it wasn't about talent, it was about focus. With 1 minute and 45 seconds left, the Cavs were up 1. Garland threw an outlet pass to Donovan Mitchell, who sprinted ahead for what looked like an easy dunk. Mitchell slowed down, gathered himself, and went up for the slam. Except he wasn't alone. Knicks rookie Tyler Kolek came flying in from behind and stripped the ball clean. It was first called a foul, but the replay showed Kolek got all ball. Turnover. Mitchell admitted after the game that he didn't see him coming, and even the Cavs head coach Kenny Atkinson didn't sugarcoat it. He said that Mitchell should have just laid it up. If he just finished strong, Cleveland likely go up 3 with under 2 minutes to play. Instead, they get nothing. The Knicks score on the other end, and the momentum flips. And that's how thin the margins are. Now let me make it very clear. Nobody is blaming Donovan Mitchell for that loss. He had 34 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in just 33 minutes. He's been carrying this team all season, especially with injuries piling up around him. If anything, that game showed just how much the Cavs depended on him. But when you know your team struggles in certain areas, like rebounding, you cannot give the game away with mental mistakes. Every possession matters more when you're already this vulnerable. Now, statistically, Cleveland isn't awful on the glass. They're actually in the middle of the pack when it comes to offensive rebounding. They grab more offensive rebounds than they allow. On paper, it's not alarming. But the problem with the Cavs is that they give up offensive rebounds at the worst possible times. I mean, against the Knicks, with 27 seconds left, Cleveland got a stop while down 2, but then Cat crashed the rim, grabbed the rebound, and put it back in. And it's not like they lack size. At times, they're just lacking awareness. I mean, Evan Mobley's not a small guy, he's not a bad rebounder, but in that situation, he had just turned off. For years, the Cavs had the same label slapped on them, that they were soft. Jared Allen in particular hurt it plenty, and games like that don't help. For example, Mitchell Robinson on the Knicks didn't score a single point, but he grabbed 4 offensive rebounds just in the fourth quarter. So is it about physicality or is it about focus? That distinction matters. There are rebounds where everyone is fighting in traffic, and then there are rebounds where somebody forgets their assignment. The Cavs keep losing the second type. Rebounding, of course, hasn't been the only issue with the Cavs. In a lot of games, they go ice cold in the fourth quarter. They don't shoot as good from 3, there's less ball movement, and they're taking tougher, lower quality shots. Against the Knicks, for example, Mitchell went 4 of 11. Garland was 1 of 5. That offense that built the lead slowed down. They got predictable and stopped trusting the process. Meanwhile, the Cavs fouled Jalen Brunson 3 times on his 3-point attempts. Now, despite how ugly some of their losses have looked, Cleveland still doesn't look fully deflated. They have players coming back from injury. Garland's looking healthier and more mobile. Even Atkinson has sounded optimistic in his post-match comments. But still, the Cavs are nowhere near where they want to be. They're currently in play-in territory, not where a team with playoff ambition should live. And this isn't a new issue. In the 2023 playoffs, they also got bullied on the glass and paid for it. But last season, they improved. They finished as one of the best rebounding teams in the playoffs, even after their early exit. So there is a blueprint, but until they fix it, every close game will feel like they're walking on a tightrope. Because when your weakness is mental focus and not talent, the margin for error becomes razor thin. And on big nights like Christmas, like the postseason, the margins disappear completely. Now the Cavs at their best are a scary team in the NBA. To see just how good they can be, you have to watch this video right here.